You read the message 3 times. It's short. It's polite. Something about it still feels wrong. Your chest tightens slightly. Your mind starts replaying the last conversation, searching for the moment things shifted. You don't know what happened. You just know, somehow, that you can't trust this person the way you did yesterday. This isn't overthinking. This isn't paranoia. The real answer is far stranger. Your brain is running an alarm system built for a world where losing someone's trust could get you killed. Picture a small band of early humans, maybe 30 people, moving together across a landscape with no police, no courts, no locks on any doors. There was no system to punish a thief. There was no jail for someone who lied. There was only the group itself, and whatever the group decided to do about you. This mattered enormously, because survival back then wasn't really an individual project. You couldn't hunt large animals alone. You couldn't defend against predators alone. You couldn't raise children alone. Every meaningful resource, protection, food, information about where the water was, depended on staying inside a web of people who trusted you enough to share. So what happened when that trust broke? A biologist named Robert Triver studied this question by looking at cooperation across the animal kingdom, and he found something surprising. Cooperation between unrelated individuals is actually rare in nature, because it's risky. If you help someone and they never help you back, you've wasted energy that could have gone toward your own survival. Trivers called this the problem of reciprocal altruism, and he showed that for cooperation to survive as a strategy, there had to be a powerful built-in defense against being taken advantage of. That defense, Trivers argued, was emotion. Specifically, the intense emotional reaction you feel when someone betrays your trust. That gut punch feeling isn't random. It's a finely tuned alarm, evolved to make cheating costly to detect and painful to tolerate, so that people who got cheated would stop cooperating with the cheater immediately, loudly, and permanently. This explains something curious about betrayal. Why does it feel so disproportionately intense? Why does one broken promise sometimes outweigh 100 kept ones? Because in a small ancestral group, tolerating a cheater wasn't a minor inconvenience. It was a leak in the system that everyone depended on for survival. Your brain doesn't do proportional math when trust breaks. It sounds the alarm as loud as it possibly can. But detecting untrustworthy people was only half the problem. The other half was what happened next. An anthropologist named Christopher Bohm spent years studying surviving hunter-gatherer societies to understand how early humans handled people who broke the rules of the group, people who hoarded food, bullied others, or repeatedly lied. What he found was strikingly consistent across cultures with no contact with each other. There was no formal punishment system. Instead, there was something more devastating. Gossip, first. The group would talk. Quietly, carefully, reputation would shift. If the behavior continued, ridicule came next, public and pointed, designed to humiliate the offender back into line. If that failed, the group escalated to something almost unthinkable by modern standards. Ostracism. Exclusion. The offender would simply stop being included. Not attacked. Not confronted directly. Just quietly cut off from the resources, the protection, and the companionship that kept everyone alive. And in a world with no supermarkets, no hospitals, and no strangers passing through, ostracism wasn't a social inconvenience. It was frequently a death sentence. This is the part that reframes everything. Your fear of being excluded, your anxiety when a group chat goes quiet after you post something, your dread when a friend seems distant, your discomfort when you sense you might be the topic of a conversation happening without you, none of that is oversensitivity. It's an ancient survival instinct, tuned by millennia of a world where exclusion genuinely meant death. A psychologist named Kipling Williams built an entire research career around this exact feeling. He created an experiment called Cyberball, a simple digital game where participants tossed a virtual ball back and forth with 2 other players. What participants didn't know was that the other 2 players were computer programs, and in some rounds, the researchers had them stop passing the ball to the actual human participant. Nothing insulting was said. No threats were made. Just quiet, gradual exclusion from a completely meaningless game. The results were remarkable. Brain scans of excluded participants showed activity in regions associated with physical pain, the same regions that light up when you stub your toe or burn your hand. Being excluded, even from something as trivial as a ball-tossing game with strangers online, registered in the brain almost identically to physical injury. Williams's research suggested that social pain and physical pain may share deep evolutionary roots, both functioning as alarm systems designed to keep you connected to the group that keeps you alive. Think about that the next time you feel a small, sharp sting from being left out of plans, or scrolling past a photo of friends at an event you weren't invited to. Your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's using the oldest alarm system it has, the same one that once meant the difference between belonging to a group of 30 people with fire, food, and protection, or wandering alone into a landscape that did not care whether you lived or died. So what did ancient humans actually do when they couldn't trust someone? They didn't write contracts. They didn't call a lawyer. They talked. They watched. They remembered. Reputation, once damaged, was almost impossible to fully repair, because in a small group, everyone eventually heard everything. There was nowhere to hide from your own history. This is likely why humans evolved such an obsessive, seemingly petty interest in gossip. It wasn't idle chatter. It was a survival database, constantly updated, tracking exactly who could be trusted and who could not. Now look at the modern world through that lens. The instinct never left. It just changed its battlefield. You check someone's read receipts. You reread a message looking for a shift in tone. You notice, almost against your will, when someone stops liking your posts. None of this is shallow. It's the same tracking system your ancestors used to monitor who was still an ally and who might be quietly drifting toward becoming a threat. And this might explain something that seems oddly disproportionate in modern life, why a single unanswered text can spiral into hours of anxious rumination, while 100 normal, friendly interactions barely register at all. Your ancestors' survival depended on catching the first sign of betrayal early, before it became dangerous. Being a little paranoid cost almost nothing. Missing the warning signs of a real betrayal could cost everything. So evolution built you to lean towards suspicion the moment trust feels uncertain, even when, statistically, most of those moments turn out to be nothing. This doesn't mean every uneasy feeling about someone is accurate. It means the feeling itself, the tightening chest, the mental replay, the sudden hyper-awareness of someone's tone, is not a flaw in your character. It's a 200,000-year-old radar system, still scanning for the one thing your ancestors could never afford to get wrong, whether the people around them could still be trusted to keep them alive. You read the message again. It's still short. Still polite. Something in you is still uneasy. But this time you understand what that unease actually is. It isn't weakness, and it isn't overthinking. It's the oldest alarm your species ever built, quietly doing the only job it has ever known how to do, keeping you safe inside the circle of people who are supposed to have your back.